The habits that you are forming and setting now are setting the tone for the rest of your life. This is especially true during your formative years. Your formative years meaning your early years when you're growing up. Now, it's no secret that learning a language is easiest when you're young, and it gets progressively harder as you get older. The reason for that, and I'm no scientific expert, so correct me if I'm wrong, is the more that you grow, the more solidified your brain already is, so the harder it is to learn new and novel tasks. And so I want to relate this to your habits. And it's kind of scary to think that what you're doing as a kid can set the tone for the rest of your life. Now, hold on, pause a minute. Disclaimer. At any single point in your life, young or old, you can make great drastic changes that can influence the rest of your life. So don't for a second think just because you had a rough upbringing or your habits were poor during your formative years that you can't go and then start adding these habits to your life. But it does get harder, right? We've all read the posts that say something like, you're supposed to get and stay fit young because the older that you get, if you're overweight, the harder that it is to change versus if you had gotten fit young and stayed fit consistently. In other words, once you get the momentum rolling, it's easier to maintain the momentum than it is to go from a complete standstill to then generating momentum, right? That's really all it is. But again, it does not mean that you can't pivot and make a change just because you had a difficult point or points in your life. Don't take that away from this video. But I do want to emphasize, especially if you're a young viewer listening in, tuning into this video, keep in mind that what you're doing today is going to create the foundation for later in life. I can already look back at 10, 15 years ago, and some of those habits like working out and fitness that I started developing 10 years ago, it's crazy, I think it's been 10 years, have translated to today. And I don't even think twice about having to go to the gym or having to go for a run or having to go for a swim. I just finished a swim. It was great. Loved it. Gave me a lot of energy. And I attribute that in large part because I started my fitness journey actually over 10 years ago. And it was hard then. I remember it being really tough then. Cross-country practice when I was a little chubby sixth grader, I didn't want to go and do it. Of course I didn't want to do it. But over time, I eventually fell in love with that process. It's the same thing with school, right? When you start school after the summertime, that's a lot more difficult. But when you're in the middle of the year, you've already gone through half of that school year. So returning back from, let's say, spring break is easier than returning back from summer break. You catch the drift. So keep in mind that whatever you're doing, both good and bad, is imprinting in your brain. Your brain is very sneaky because it takes what you do, and if you do it enough, it starts to recognize what you're doing, good and bad, and then it becomes more used to it, and it also expects it. So next time that you're thinking of doing something that might not be for the best, maybe take a pause on that and reflect and think, okay, the more I do this, the more I am creating a habit of this. And do I want this to continue for the rest of my life or do I not? So just some food for thought. If you like this video, please smash the like button. Comment future video topics that you want to see in the comment section below. I have not really been seeing too much of that, so I really encourage you to do that. And subscribe to the channel, please, for future videos. Thanks, and we'll talk soon. Peace.